Success, Amen. Sometimes you ask yourself, are you successful?
I feel like everything that I've been through in my journey and my career has brought me here.
Success.
The art of restarting is like so key.
It's so
Success.
Hi, thanks for tuning in for Success MN. This is a local Minnesota podcast talking about people who have become successful in their own line of work, whether they've started their own business, had a side hustle, or just been highly successful at their W-2 job. And here we are connecting people. Tune in, see who's on board today.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode. Today we have, we're starting off with a bang with PR extraordinaire, short-term rental master, JJ Hornig. And I think she's going to have a lot of really cool things to talk about, how she built a few different businesses. But yeah, let's just get started. JJ, hi.
Melissa, thank you so much for having me. I mean, this is great. This is giving me great vibes, energy. I'm just so happy to be across from you, chit-chatting on all things entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial. There we go.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so let's talk about, like, I know right now you are the proud curator for Roxy Rentals, which is just an incredible business. You've got how many Airbnbs now?
We have five under the umbrella and looking to expand.
Very cool. And like how I advertise, because of course I support your business, how I advertise Roxy Rentals is it is a luxury rental and not even with the luxury price. Like all of your products that you have there are incredible. You offer event shoots and a space for creators to come and expand their branding. Like what you're doing is so cool, and it's not just an Airbnb. If I have a client that needs the luxury experience, of course I'm going to send them to you. But talk to me a little bit more about your vision for Roxy Rentals.
Yeah. So I feel like everything that I've been through in my journey and my career has brought me here.
Mm-hmm.
And I dabbled with short-term renting in 2012 back in New York City when I had my solo apartment.
When you could Airbnb in New York.
When it was legal, yes.
Legal. I've got my quotes going here.
And I was in Murray Hill on 38th and 2nd, and I told my doorman that I had a lot of friends and family that were coming to visit.
Which is true.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. But I was traveling all the time for a hospitality company that I was working for at the time, and really just wasn't in New York as much as I would like to have been. Kind of lived out of a suitcase. It was a great experience. I highly recommend traveling a lot in your early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
As you get older, it's harder to do.
I get so sleepy. Yeah, I do.
I just couldn't keep up with the inquiries when I, put up availability. I lived close to the UN, so I got a lot of diplomats that were in town. They knew that I was safe because I had a doorman. So I had a lot of females that would just come up to me through Airbnb. Then they would do a text message, be like, hey, is your apartment free? Are you in town?
Yeah.
It was just like such a cordial, very feeling like I had all these friends that could just come stay at my place. And it was awesome. It was great. I mean, we had people from Amsterdam. I had a couple that got engaged at my place.
What? Really?
Yes. They proposed to. I was like, awesome. I wish I would have known. I would have left more champagne in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
But I saw that there was a business.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have time at the moment. I was like, let's put a pin in this and let's revisit this in another career, another journey, not right now.
Yeah.
And actually, it was those guys from Amsterdam that stayed at my place and they kind of trashed in, and I was like,
That was the end?
Yeah, that was kind of at the end. But it was early. early adopting for Airbnb, people trying to figure out what this platform existed. I think I was telling you earlier, I used it myself for a work trip out in LA.
Yeah.
I booked a place in Santa Monica, or no, I booked it in Venice Beach, like right on the boardwalk. It was beautiful. I was so stoked. They were like, it comes with bikes. But it also came with a roommate that I didn't know.
Non-disclosed.
I thought I was getting my own place, and yeah, I had shared and slept on the couch. The other gal, unfortunately, got the room, but she ended up being really cool. She had a car.
Was it
she
cheap?
rented.
Was it a little cheaper because you were on the couch?
You know, it was weird. The owner too would like come back in the morning and like make us breakfast, and we're like, no. Like,
No.
it's already such a bad situation.
Yeah,
No, we're trying to make the best of it. But I mean, that was like, again, early adopting on Airbnb. They really just wanted you to rent out your room. And
yeah, I think there was like a rival company back then called Couchsurfing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I think they
was-
were kind of.
That was.
I only did that in Europe. I would never do
Did
that
you
in
do
the
it in
States.
Europe?
Oh yeah,
Was it better than staying in a hostel? It's also very like,
I couldn't afford
as a-
hostels, so
as a woman.
I never did it alone.
Okay.
And we only had one shady experience, but there were 3 of us. So like
Okay.
when the shadiness happened,
What was the shadiness?
It was like obviously a guy. I think he got one of my friends alone in a bedroom, pinned her down. She yelled. The rest of us
Oh my
girls
goodness.
ran in there, saved her, scooped her, and then we just went to the airport a day early. So, like, there is definitely.
It was horrible.
It was horrible, and we were 19 at the time. I think we were just kids, so that was crazy. Fortunately, nothing happened, and everything's fine. I mean, nothing else happened. It could have been worse, but I think.
Did you report it to the platform?
I'm sure we did.
Okay.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
15 years ago now.
Yeah, you're like
But
just glad that everyone got out safely and
yeah, everything was fine. But I think looking at our 2 experiences, there was definitely a need for someone to come in and do
a little bit more secure
Yeah.
and more safety
mm-hmm.
and renting out a place
Yeah.
as opposed to sharing. I mean,
Sharing is fun. I probably did it 10 times, and we always met really cool people, but that was a different era, a different atmosphere. It was European too, so it was a lot more laissez-faire than I think things are a little bit stateside. But
and that's their personality
yeah,
over there. That's
you're experiencing
that's
our
their
culture.
vibe.
Yeah, sleep on
Yeah.
my couch.
right.
So, but if I could have had the Roxy rental experience in that time of my
You're
life,
so sweet.
I really think what you've done is genuinely elevated the Airbnb experience. What you're doing is crazy. I think you said something about way back when your first Airbnb happened, it was not the time, was not the place. You wanted to put a pin in it and then recreate something again later. And I think that just talking about this podcast and the entrepreneurial spirit, I think the art of restarting is so key.
It's key. It feels refreshing. It's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard. I mean, we were just chatting and we're like, this is not for everybody. If you are, used to routines,
Yeah.
need not apply here.
Man, and
It's just your day just varies every single day.
mhm,
And it's not a 9 to 5.
mhm,
Especially now, I mean, I have guests that literally are texting me.
mhm.
And we were just talking, the hot water went out, the hot water heater.
Yeah.
So what do you do? They need to have a hot shower. So
Right.
you have to be on the fly and know that your guests feel comfortable, that you're taking care of the problem and you are immediately paying attention to that.
Uh-huh. And a situation like that, it's not just a water heater, it's your reputation on the line.
100%.
And when you're performing at the level you're performing at, how do you is there any way you can anticipate something going wrong?
So I think I worked in hospitality
Mhm.
I highly recommend that everybody out there work in hospitality. Give it 3 months.
Yeah.
Do a little hostessing job, do a little bartending job, be a server.
Mhm.
It is the best experience on how to deal with people and personalities and turn a negative into a positive.
Mhm.
And working in hospitality, I worked at Del Frisco's on 49th and 6th Avenue in New York City. It was a high-end steakhouse.
Beautiful.
Like David Yurman, I think they like spent $1 million. I might be misquoting that, but I think that's right, accurate. It was $1 million staircase created by David Yurman.
Only the staircase.
Only the staircase. It was just
something
it
people
was
pass.
dripping in like just decadent decor.
Mhm.
And we dealt with a high clientele. We also had celebrities coming through. We also had, notable people. Roger Ailes.
Mhm.
I mean, I had his glasses. I had
Yeah.
at the host stand I'm wearing Roger Ailes glasses.
And he's like, cool.
Well, that movie Bombshell really kind of showcased his personality.
Okay.
But had to call his secretary to be like, I have his sunglasses.
Oh, he like left them.
Yes, he
Yeah.
left them.
Okay.
But there was just, you never knew who was going to come through that door, so you had to be prepared and you always had to be on. And as much as you were having a bad day, and I was also going to school full time at FIT,
Yeah.
and literally shoving down my notes down my pants because I was trying to study for a final, but also having to be on 150% because you're just dealing with a clientele that just expects everything, and they just expect service, and they just expect to be treated a certain way.
Mhm.
So it was really a good challenge to go through at a young age. I mean, I think I started there at 19.
Yeah.
And I remember going back home to my parents because I was like, wow, there's just so much wealth.
Yes.
And I wasn't ready for I knew about it, I knew of it. I was 19. I mean, come on, like
Yeah.
we all see it on TV, movies, but to live in it and experience it
Mhm.
the day to day.
Isn't that like an interesting contrast? Like you're used to living your life. I'm assuming you were not living the $1 million staircase lifestyle.
No.
And
Still not.
We'll get there. And it, like to go from living in such like a beautiful environment and that's your day, and then you go home and have like a very different night. Like, what kind of is that a situation for your own imposter syndrome, or I don't know, or did that help you?
It was the first taste of seeing the wealth and then seeing the power that follows through it with it.
Mm-hmm. So it's
And
not just a
being-
Birkin bag?
Beyond the Birkin bag, but seeing the attitudes, the personalities, how people talk to you, how people look down upon you, I'll never forget. And I always said that this is what like fired me to like be me and keep going and not quitting. I think they were all in finance, and it was a company outing, and it was their boss and his team behind him. And I was just chit-chatting, small talking, taking them to their table, trying to make them feel welcome. And he was like, how old are you? And telling him my whole story. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to, FIT, studying to be fashion merchandising major and really want to get into communications. And he's like, it's going to take you 10 years for you to make what I make in half a year. And like, I was just like, trying to be quick-witted. I was like, you have no idea who my parents are. I was just trying to make something up real quickly.
And that probably scared him a little bit.
And like
somebody who thinks about money that way.
And just his team, just like going like, just, like and like, I can't believe you just said that. And I was just like, let's
was
go.
Was he saying that to try and hit on you?
You think, and that's why I had the conversation with my parents, because I was just like, wow, there's just so much money. These older guys with the rings on and showing me pictures of their kids and then like asking us what we're doing later. It was a weird feeling that didn't sit well, and trying to have to figure that all out pretty quickly at a young age and navigate that to really grow your skin, to have thick skin.
Yeah.
I think like there's a fine line between being successful as an entrepreneur and caring only about money. And you can go both routes. Chances are you're going to go one of them. But I just think one thing that's so cool about you is like you've built a really cool story. And I think the one thing that you've always stayed true to is how you treat other people. Like I have never seen you talk badly about anybody. Maybe if they deserved it, but like you say it from a point of goodness. Like I know that you, at the end of the day, go to sleep every single night with feeling good about your morals and how you stand up for yourself. And I know you do that because when you treat people, you always treat them with kindness. Always.
And thank you. And I think we've all been through the toxic work environments, and it's a good learning experience to go through. It's like everyone should work in hospitality, and everyone's going to experience that toxic work environment at some point in their life. And really just knowing what you want to surround yourself and how to lead by example. And the cutthroat, climbing up the ladder, not caring about anybody, your team, and just caring about yourself. It's for certain people. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I've never really felt comfortable in a corporate gig. Because
you've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in a hospitality. I do want to give out a little shout out to John Sullivan, because I feel, even though I always say it was just like beer and chicken wings, because we had a hospitality group, and some of the restaurants were McFadden's. Like it was just like all packing people in and just having a great time. But honestly, it really taught me like my first ethos and like the mantra that I've taken on to every next chapter with a career or a new job or a new client is showing a great experience. And then that's, fast forward, that's exactly what we're doing with Roxy Rentals. And most people who are doing the short-term rental game, a lot of people are just like, I can invest, I can throw up a property, get some nice pictures, and just slap it on a website and just sit back.
You gotta have the Keurig.
You got it. Keurig. And, I think what people are starting to realize, it's work. It's a lot of work. You can't just sit back and just think that like Airbnb and VRBO and Booking.com are going to like be your channels for getting all your revenue in. It comes with, once you get that guest into your house, it's hospitality. And a lot of people forget that this is a hospitality job. So I think it's so rich and so wonderful that I've had my experience at Del Frisco's and then going into the hospitality business after college with being able to work with East Coast Saloons, John Sullivan, and he just really taught us it's all about the experience. Throw a great party. And if you throw a great party, they're going to bring a friend back. And then that friend's going to bring a family member, and that family member is going to bring their coworkers. And that's how you build a vibe. And that's how you build an experience. And that can be translated into anything, into a website, into your novel that you want to write someday, into your blog post that you're going to be doing, into this podcast. Curate an amazing experience for that person, because they're going to be your subliminal brand evangelist if it's good.
If it's good. God, there's a tagline for you, JJ. Jeepers. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that, like creating an experience. How did you get started in your event planning and curating experiences?
So when I was working for Sully, we had, Sully. Hi, Sully. We had, what did we have? At the time, I think it was like almost 20 stores nationwide, and just kept opening up new places. So just eventually being able to be on the traveling team to open up those stores. So I lived in Cincinnati for 4 months, and worked with the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Ocho Cinco.
Hey.
He was amazing, Chad Johnson.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
He was really awesome. I have nothing
Mhm.
but kind words for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked with the Bengals and just worked with all like the local sports teams to see how we can market. When I was going to each city and opening them up, the first like meeting that I would have was with a liquor attorney. I was I need to know exactly how I can market this, what I can get away with,
How much
what
fun
are
we
the
can have.
legalities are.
Mm-hmm.
Just like little things where I think Philadelphia you can get away. Again,
The laws have
I'm not
probably
an
changed.
attorney,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought it was like a 25 cent beers or something like that for a certain amount of hours.
Oh.
In Boston, we had to have a 23 and over,
Really?
age. Why can't I think of this?
Like liquor, right to drink? Like, is that what you're
21
talking about?
It was 23 and over to
Mhm.
enter into the
Hmm.
facility.
Because you were like a VIP situation? Or?
No, it was just because it was a college city.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, so they just-
to get into bars was 23 and over.
Weird.
And then this is when I kind of actually left, but they were opening up in the Mirage.
Okay.
And that was in Las Vegas. And that, everything that we've learned and replicated in all these different stores and
Mhm.
was just like, that's different.
How
Your
do you-
customer is a new customer every 3 days.
Yeah.
And that whole marketing
Mm-hmm.
program had to completely change.
Mm-hmm. Every 3 days.
Every 3 days is a new, it was
Huh.
just, whereas you have loyal customers that are coming through for your other places. Sorry, I'm touching things and I shouldn't be.
You're right. Oh, God, no, I
I'm
am.
moving.
Okay.
So you didn't have that loyalty retention.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like mind-boggling to be like, okay, so this is like everything that we've learned and like replicated and that has been successful is thrown out the window.
Because now you're in.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the
Like-
Mirage in Vegas,
Las
right?
Vegas, yes.
But
But I didn't see that opening through.
Okay. You just started the
Yeah.
brainstorm.
But I mean, I always like to say that I gave
You gave
Robert
it-
Van Winkle a second career because
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice, we booked him.
Really?
And that was like one of the first of dabbling with like booking these like reality stars and like old talent into bars for appearances and like restaurants. And like I'll never forget, like he's amazing. Like we ended up, I think he was like going to at least one of our locations once a month, if
Mhm.
not twice a month. And I remember the first one, it was at Calico Jack's, and he didn't want to go on because he just wanted to perform his like new mixtapes or new like underground music. And I'm
Cool.
just like, everyone's coming. They just want to hear Go Ninja Go.
Yeah.
They want to hear Ice Ice Baby.
Just
and
doing
you're
double
going.
time.
You're going to do this and you're gonna go out and your fans are gonna love you.
So you gave Vanilla Ice a pep
A
talk?
little bit.
That's awesome. So, okay, so you were you booking people to perform at venues, or you were like?
Yeah, we ended up, whenever we were doing a grand opening, it was
Mhm.
like a 2-week program that every night was something different. I booked Kendra Wilkinson. She
Okay.
was phenomenal.
She is great.
She's a hard worker.
Really?
And yes, she was very professional. I remember we did her for the opening of, we had her at the opening for Cincinnati. First, we called it Sully's.
Mhm.
And it was on Race Street. And we had her for one of the grand opening parties. And she just.
Rice Street, not in St. Paul.
No, Cincinnati.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
could have been cool in St. Paul.
Okay. Yeah, it could have been. We never did anything in Minnesota. We did Chicago, Boston, Nashville, Philadelphia. We had the stadium.
Mhm.
That was a crazy debacle. We used to do team meetings and rent out some of the stadium at what is Philly?
You're
The
not a
baseball
sports
team?
person.
Oh God. I
We
think
need-
that's so bad.
We'll get there.
Insert team here.
Yeah, we're gonna have boys commenting on this now, so that's great.
We did Pittsburgh, and yeah, we had her at the Cincinnati opening, and she was just wonderful and just so professional. I remember she had like
Did she
these
laugh?
huge.
I know she's got
she
a
was
good
so
laugh.
tiny. Yeah, so she was so tiny, pint-sized perfection, and just wearing like these gigantic stiletto heels
Of
and
course.
standing up. And she was like, "Is it okay if I just sit down and rest my feet?" I was like, "Kendra, of course, please. We have another 2 hours."
Kendra, you can't faint on
I
me.
know. I will be massaging your feet.
You won't be, or you will be.
Will be.
I think people would pay for that.
I
You
was,
could probably.
yeah. I'm never beneath anything. I mean, gosh, we did a pickup at the airport for, what was it, Jesse Metcalf?
Okay.
He was another one at Columbus, right across the street from Ohio State University.
Okay.
We opened up McFadden's over there. But yeah, it was just really fun. I remember doing their campaign for a couple of like the newspapers. This is dating myself. But yes, magazines and newspapers. We were
People
running
know
a
what
whole
magazines are. Yeah.
little marketing campaign, and I literally was waiting to hear back from the Playboy Mansion from Hef because she really did have a curfew. So we had to like, when we were doing all of her travel arrangements and like making sure that she could actually attend.
Like she has to be home by 8
They had a
p.m.?
curfew, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, Kendra, if this ever gets, you are amazing to work with, then.
If you ever get out past bedtime, call me.
And then she's a real estate agent now.
I bet she's killing the game. I gotta Google her.
She was on that TV show with, was it part of the agency that
Oh,
Mauricio? I should know this.
you should know this. I
Who
purposely
owns the
do not
agency?
watch real estate TV shows.
You don't.
I will burn out. Like, go home after a full day of real estate. I'm not going to watch a real estate show. I'm just not going to.
You don't watch Selling Sunset.
I don't.
It's so good.
I don't. You can send me the highlight reel. I'm not, like, ultimately opposed to it.
It's on the background, like probably all the time for me. Like when I'm working from home, it's on the background. I just love looking up the gorgeous real estate and
I
like
do
the
love
outfits. The outfits.
I think, okay, so outfits, yes. The houses, yes. But
Everything else I can do now.
when I go from looking at a house that has like dead squirrels in it, and then that's my daily life, and then I come and I look at Selling Sunset, and I'm like, man, like, do I have to go to LA? I have to go to LA.
Yes. Or New York City.
Okay.
New York City is what that was another reality. Bravo.
They have selling everything's
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah. Selling Tampa.
No.
Okay.
But so yeah, I just from Sully just really curating an amazing experience,
Mhm.
and that has just transcended into everything
Yeah.
that I've tried to apply.
So curating a like amazing experience, I like it's the food, it's the drink, it's the venue, it's the timeliness of it all. I'm assuming like to have everything happen as it's supposed to takes so much planning.
So much planning, and you have to know that something's gonna happen, something's gonna go wrong. What's your plan B? What's your plan C? What's your plan D?
Yeah. What is like the most chaotic event you've ever planned?
You know, we did. It's fun. Janae Luciani, another shout out. She's the bra expert, and she came out with the bra book, and she just is all about making sure women are sized correctly.
It's hard.
Which is a thing. I was completely like entrenched into Victoria's Secret,
Yeah.
wearing all the wrong bras, until I came in touch
Read
with
the bra
Janae.
book.
Yes,
Mhm.
and Janae, and we ended up working at another, like, I was freelancing at a PR company and she was working there too, and then she was kind of like an on-air expert that was just getting bigger and bigger, to like the Today Show and just a bunch of other news shows.
Mhm.
And she came out with a bra book. I was like, oh, this is a thing. It is a thing. And
yeah. So it like you talked to an expert, got some advice, and it
Yeah.
changed your life.
so she ended up, actually this is Chris March. I like should have notes, which I think he passed away. And he was on what is the design show?
For HGTV or for
It was on, I think it was on Bravo
designing houses?
with Heidi Klum
Again,
and oh my God.
I feel like I'm just alienating my fan base right now. All of these people who listen to real estate podcasts are
So,
listening to me say
Chris
I don't
March
know.
had an offshoot show from, oh my God, I need to look this up
We'll
now.
Google it.
What is, no, not America's Next Top Model, this is bad. So he had an offshoot show and Janae was doing a book launch party for her bra book
Mhm.
and Chris March was going to make her dress out of bras. It was fantastic, amazing.
Yeah.
So there was a chance like this had to be aired on his show for Bravo TV. So we like created this like faux party, this faux like grand,
You had to.
opening party.
For the
And
bra
like
book.
so many pieces like came into it.
Mm-hmm.
And with like, we had people,
Like fake people.
not fake people, they were real people, but we all, they all had to sign waivers as they were coming in because it was all being filmed. But it was like this huge process we took over. I negotiated a deal with a new venue that was just like launching so we could get the space for complimentary because they were going to be on the show
Mm-hmm.
and get some exposure. So we had to like make sure like they filmed the logos and like the entrance into So making sure like all parties that were involved for like being part of this, faux party got exposure for it. So it was just like all these moving pieces, all these logistics.
Yeah.
But I just remember that one moment I was just like, this is so fun. This is so fun to be like
Mm-hmm.
the central command center of like, okay, you're gonna
The
set up
party,
over
yeah.
here, you're gonna set up here, this is where the step repeat, this is where the cameras are gonna come in, we're going to film over here, Janae's gonna come and like do the unveiling of her dress, which was phenomenal. You have to Google it. It was just
Okay.
like a dress of bras and it was just fantastic. But it was just crazy because it was like all this work, probably a whole day of like putting together this event that we spent 2 hours, 3 hours of like the actual event and filming for it,
Mm-hmm.
getting everyone to like sign the waivers, and it aired on TV for 2 minutes. So it's just like it just and that is the rigmarole for
How
like
many weeks of your
everything.
life did you put into those 2 minutes?
It was like a month going back and forth of like logistics, but it's just there's so much, to your point, there's just there's so many spreadsheets, there's so much back and forth communication,
Mm-hmm.
planning. And I joke around now with my husband because he's like, you hate to plan. I'm like, I hate to plan personally
We are
because
very good at it.
in the professional space, that's all I do, and that's
Yeah.
all I want to escape from in my own, like, just tell me where to go, tell me a time, I'll put together a look and I'll put on a lip and I'll be there. But I don't want to like pick out the restaurant, figure out the time, figure out the people situation, how we're gonna get there, all that stuff. So yeah,
You always have a good look.
thank you.
Mhm.
It's important.
Uh-huh. It really is. I'm always like, oh, I'm going to something with JJ. I better really look cute this
Well,
time.
it makes me like everyone like has their thing. They go to yoga, they meditate, they read at night.
Mm-hmm.
I feel my confidence booster is putting together a look, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, okay, I can take on this day. It could be like a shitstorm, but like
Yeah,
At
you are
least-
really good at it.
at least I'm gonna look
You are
darn
going
good
to.
at it.
You are. You
Try
are
not to
always looking
curse.
cute. I mean, we can beep you out. I think we can also swear on the
Just
show.
like put some
Yeah.
syllables over my mouth.
Oh yeah, what emoji do you want? I think so. Are you still doing any event planning?
So I think this year was really kind of taking a step back. I had a partner in what I was doing before this with Caravan
Mhm.
and Claudine Sola, amazing. She's another one who just a good friend of ours who was in hospitality was like, you two need to meet. You both think outside the box with like how you do. She had Think PR and they were representing like, she like represented Mercedes-Benz and
Cool.
some of the hotels in New York City. And we were like, I would say like we were like the pioneers for experiential before experiential existed. Like it's like everything now. Like everyone's like, oh, what's your like concept store? Like what's your like experiential like marketing campaign? And we were doing like the houses before they were hype houses now with like all these TikTokers.
Yeah. You invented the hype house.
Before that was like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like curate this experience, invite media, invite influencers, and just everything that they touched in that house was a brand that was curated into that experience. So that, you know, they were going into like a bedroom and we created like a whole style lounge so they can just dress themselves.
Okay.
And then, you know, we had a photographer, videographer, and they were just doing photo shoots. And yeah, the original experiential and that transitioned into like, you know, content days. Now everyone's doing content day.
Yeah.
But we were really like kind of giving that free media to everybody because everyone needed content in those. I mean, everyone needs content now, but like that was just kind of starting.
Mm-hmm.
So like 2015, 2016 is kind of like when we were really getting into that.
Yeah.
And then you just had these media folks that were, you know, a lot of these PR companies were doing like events and they would do them at bars and they would do them at restaurants or like, you know, private event rooms. And it was just kind of losing the touch of why you were there. So it's a product launch party, but everyone's getting wasted and forgetting why they were there. Like, oh, like that was just an after effect to the fact that, you know, this
I've been
new,
to a million parties like that.
This new fashion collection or like this new like Bath and Body product just launched and like, you know, me actually, it's funny because me and Claudine went to like this big event for a big brand and we're just like, oh my God, they must have spent $500,000. I mean, $250,000 on the talent alone that showed up that night. And I'm just like, no one knows what they're doing, what they're experiencing. And you forget that these brands forget that they're storytellers. So how do you curate an experience that you have the media folks, the influencers, the talent to transcend them as your own storytellers?
Yeah.
So that's when we were starting to do the content shoots, we're like, this is a win-win. We're giving them free content. We're putting them in the actual product. We're getting them to experience it.
Yeah.
And say like, I love this or I don't like this. This isn't for me. Great. Why? Because then that's like a free focus group too, where we're just jotting down like, you know, all this feedback that we were getting on this is why I love it or this is awesome and this is why I would like buy this. And then also giving them content so that they can post on all their social feeds. It was like,
it was like for sure the trifecta or more angles if there was more.
And then you take all those photos and then you pick up and have the phone calls. This was back then when we were actually picking up phones and not texting or sliding into people's DMs and saying like, hey, I have a great story. And I have some pictures of like some great talent that will be able to help tell that story.
So in a world where you could easily just recreate something that's already been done, what keeps you reaching for something new? Because I feel like everything you do is very authentic and very curated. Everything that I've ever seen you do always has so much thought behind it. I mean, you could take the shortcut.
I could.
You could.
I could
you
put
never
some
do.
really cheap sheets
Yeah.
and some gray walls with no artwork.
No, but
who wants to go and like you're renting, you're spending money. You want to look at pretty things. You want to look at beautiful artwork. You want to be in linens that are luxurious and towels that don't, you know, actually feel like sandpaper.
right, or leave dust on you.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes.
I'm constantly I like, you know, like how stylists have kids and event planners have kids. I feel like I have like the curated, like the short-term rental curated kit and it has like a lint brush in it. I'm just constantly lint brushing things.
Yeah.
Because I'll spot check our quality inspectors. just to make sure. And then I'll see things that they're not doing, take pictures and say,
So did you just say that you run Airbnbs with quality control and then you double check your quality control?
Yes. I type A personality and
I love
it
that.
probably does well for this.
It does. Like I've been in your spaces and they're incredible. So
Thank you.
okay. So to get something that's just perfect, stand out, make something different, be very detail oriented about it. And like what's your, are there any other secret sauces that you have? I feel like you just
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into the short-term rental business, I think that you need to understand that it is a lot of work. It is not passive income. There's a lot of like awful courses that are being sold on social media that you have like a 21-year-old going, here's how I made $1 million. And it's like, you're making that off affiliate sales and not actually what you're doing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Yes, every time I hear one of those videos like, buy my class, I want to see their 1099s. I want to see where their money's coming from.
Exactly.
I don't trust
Let's
it.
look at your revenue streams.
Yeah, and they've got like over 1 million views on their YouTube channel because they wrote something that is for the clicks. And it's just,
And there are good master classes out there because I highly recommend. Just for me, like, it's so funny. You were like, I don't know if you use the word expert, but like, I cringe when I hear that because I'm like, I'm so far from an expert. I am learning every day and I want to be continuing to learn every day. So for the past like year and a half, I've just been, applying and purchasing some like master programs so I can further educate myself in like all of this and learning from peers. I'm on like Reddit, Airbnb, short-term rental, like horror stories, and then also like, well, what would you do in this scenario? So I'm like reading through those constantly at night before I go to bed, which probably is like the worst thing ever.
Then you can dream about it.
And it just I think for certain people, you just want to continue to grow that education and like continue to like just learn from each other. But going back, it's a lot of work. And I think, again, a lot of people think it's like passive income. Long-term rentals, totally different game. Get into the multifamily with long-term rentals if you're truly looking for something passive. But if you want to get into the short-term rental game, you have to know that you're going to be rolling up your sleeves. You're going to be cleaning toilets. I am not beneath cleaning a toilet because it happens. And, you have to remind yourself you're in hospitality.
Right.
So don't tell a guest no. I try to, when somebody asks me for a recommendation or if they're asking for a request, I always lead in saying in the back of my head, okay, how do I not say no to this? And how can I make this happen for them? And also, like, PR background, like, I can do it. Let's go. You need a magician.
You are a magician.
You need 4 hair people and a photographer. Like,
1 sec.
Give me an hour.
An hour, yeah. But do you think, you were kind of like circling this, do you think there's such a thing as easy money?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone always, like, the dream is to, like, make money in your sleep. And, like, I guess, yes, there are certain programs that you can sell. So that's why everyone's kind of getting on to the coursework. But even to build out a good, legitimate course
is a lot of work.
Is a lot of work.
Is there a way to tell the difference between a good course and a bad one?
I mean, really just taking it and realizing,
oh,
like,
no.
What did I do? Can I get my money back?
Can you? Probably not.
One I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, and then, I knew her, and this was more like PR, and like, just like, kind of I just felt like such a grind, because PR can be such a thankless job. And it's so different now than it was when I was really like into it, like 5 years ago, and it's just, everyone's like, oh, get on the Today Show, get in Forbes, get into like all the rag bags. I want to be like in Vogue magazine. It's like everybody does, and you do so pitching stories, that takes time. Sometimes that, right now we had our first editor visit.
Mm-hmm.
We stay tonight.
Really?
Yes, I'm so excited.
To like judge your rentals?
Yeah, for a review for a
So
magazine.
cool.
But like that comes out in like 5 months.
Yeah.
Can't even say like who it is or whatever.
No,
Don't
we'll
wanna-
see the
yeah,
article.
right.
We'll see it. Mhm.
Fingers crossed, everything
Everybody-
goes well.
Everybody who follows Roxy Reynolds, you'll
Yeah,
see the article.
exactly. But like like there's been stories where I've worked on for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's constant. You're constantly like thinking outside the box and like how do you rework the story sometimes because it's the same story,
Mm-hmm.
but how do I make it look different
Mm-hmm.
for another editor to pick that up? So it's just a very thankless job, I think, because you're just like constantly being scrutinized,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Publications these days.
So I went to school for communications also.
Did you really?
I did. I took my PR class and I was like, I can't spin this. Our like senior project was a suicide hotline.
Oh my god.
And it was a real project. Like we all got assigned real clients and they're like, here Melissa, suicide hotline. Advertise for it. And I was like, oh no. I had a really hard time with it. So and I just give you so much props for what you do because sometimes you just get something that is so hard to talk about, and I feel like you're very good at looking at things in a positive light. So
It's always thinking. You have to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
On your toes. I feel like we're all anyone in communications is like constantly thinking in like sound bites for a commercial. Like
Mhm.
how can I spin this?
Yeah, and like
And then thinking 3 steps ahead.
yeah, and it's that thinking 3 steps ahead
Yes.
that you're so good at.
Well, social media terrifies me.
Does it?
Oh my god.
That's so funny. I think like
I just keep it positive.
yeah, keep it positive. You do have good content. I like watching your unboxings for Roxy Reynolds.
Oh, do you?
I do.
I feel like people are like, oh my god, this girl again.
That's how everybody feels on social media until you get one video that goes viral. All of a sudden, everybody loves you.
Yep.
So just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Bye.
This is
Gotta do it.
the mirror.
Yeah, I think like so. PR was like one of my focuses, and I switched it to organizational and professional communications after that, and that's more of the cultural study of how to create a good business.
I mean, let's go to you for a second because how perfect to segue communications, organization,
Mm-hmm.
and like just like personality development for you because you are thriving, my friend, and you
Thank
do
you.
so well.
I'm
And
really
you
trying.
have your hand in the pot for like a lot of things, and you're a little younger, God bless, because
I don't
I
look it
couldn't
now.
keep up with that speed. But I just am so impressed, and there's so much crap out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but we just were talking to an agent, and I was just like so upset that she didn't tell us that an offer that we were interested in potentially putting on something fell through. Like, why
She didn't tell you?
Why didn't you call us?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if that was my agent
Uh-huh.
and I found that out, I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of laziness and
Yeah.
a lot of self-righteousness.
I think like a lot of people think that real estate is easy money.
It's
So-
not.
It's really not, and the
It's
only way
a
to learn
hustle.
that is the hard way. And there's so many realtors right now that got into the business when it was easy money. It was. The past 2 years, it was a slam dunk. You could walk out your front door and make 10 grand. But it's not that way anymore. Like any successful realtor that's successful today that was also working in that environment says, I am doing 3 times the work for 80% of the money. And it just, if you're a lazy agent, this is when you should get out of the business. You just should.
And some just continue to keep on keeping with a lax schedule. See, this is how intuitive. I hear my phone going off. I'm like, is this a guest that can't get in?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and
we're
check
good.
it.
We're good. Okay, great.
Go ahead and check it. I'll go back to my, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Because we have 2 check-ins today.
You do, and one of them is a big one.
One of them, yes, is right before I came here. I talked to them. I made sure that they got in. I could see them on the ring cam, struggling with the Yale lock.
Do you ever like, hi, I can see you, just press this button?
We thought about that. We're like, I don't know, that might be like a really bad first experience out of the gate. You're like, oh my God.
I've definitely gotten talked to through a Ring doorbell from a house, and it's just like,
It's
are
just
you watching me now?
Yeah,
and then
right.
you assume there's cameras everywhere.
Totally.
It's super
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
It's just for me to monitor to make sure moving trucks don't show up and the furniture doesn't leave. That's happened. Not to us, but to someone that we know. The entire furniture got stolen. So it's just, you have to know that certain things are gonna happen.
That is crazy.
And that's why you have to take out separate insurance. And now that we have direct bookings and you're not covered under like the Airbnb, and then you also have your own homeowner's insurance. A lot of people are doing this as co-hosts, so they don't even own the house, and they're just managing for other people, which it's tricky.
Yeah, that sounds very, very bad.
There's a lot of things and legal and policies that people should understand before they just think that they can throw some people in the home.
Wasn't there a thing during COVID that a lot of Airbnb hosts would sign leases, and then they had multiple leases signed, and then Airbnb stopped? And all of these...
It's called arbitrage.
Okay.
So you're leasing to Airbnb, and certain landlords will allow that, I guess, if they have like the vacancies that they want to fill up. Because then you're taking on that lease, but then you're responsible, to your point, for $2,000 in rent if no one's coming through the space. And that's why you don't really want to rely heavily on these other travel agencies, OTAs, other travel agencies, which is Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia.com, all
and
these.
then you just do it in-house.
And then you rely on direct bookings.
And you only get there by providing an experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some other tech software.
Have you ever done arbitrage?
So we have a meeting with a couple of my husband's family's buildings that we want to potentially try to see if that is something. And the only reason why we're going to do this is because we did our due diligence to bring in partners, so we're not paying upfront for $20,000 to $30,000 of furniture.
Yeah.
And plates and towels and you need everything. It's so crazy when you're putting everything together. You're like, oh my God, I need to stock this with Q-tips.
Yeah.
And
$30,000
tampons.
worth of...
Like, you need everything. Everything in case somebody needs something. Band-Aids. A first aid kit.
I don't think I've ever been to an Airbnb with Q-tips, to be fair.
Really?
You go above and beyond. You really do.
I'm trying to finalize a deal with Neutrogena because I'm constantly doing the little daily wipes.
Yeah.
I'm like, Neutrogena.
They owe you. They owe you at this point.
Give me a call.
I think that okay.
Project Runway. That was the show. Chris Martin.
That was the bra dress.
Oh my God! Yes. The bra dress.
Project Runway. Okay. Do you think you have any regular habits that you do that keep you successful? Like, are you? Is it just your outfits?
People meal plan. I outfit plan for the week.
You do.
I do.
You
It's
do.
crazy, but it's my thing, and let me have it.
I think like it's a beautiful thing. Like, whenever anybody finds something that inspires them, like clearly you are inspired by like curating a look, and it for everybody who doesn't know her, she doesn't just curate a look. Like, she'll be like, okay, so today I'm giving 1960s. And like, she actually curates a look, and that is her day to day to day. So, and I think that there's a different level of creativity to that also. So that's your first inspiration for the day.
Thank you. Yes. And it is. It really is.
Mhm.
Because, you know, it's going to start snowing and it gets dreary.
Mhm.
So the curation gets a little different.
Yeah.
A lot more snow boots and layers.
Today I'm a polar bear.
Yes. But to answer your question, I think I'm constantly challenging myself to educate
Mhm.
further and push it. And not that I'm like saying like I'm going back to school, but there are some good master classes I've learned from fellow colleagues and peers, and they're constantly like pushing themselves to like those master classes and taking them and really challenging themselves to, okay, what are my weaknesses?
Mhm.
How can I pivot that?
Mhm.
How can I turn that, knowing the weakness, make that, strengthen that? So it's just constantly reading. I love listening to podcasts.
Mhm. Same. Do you want to listen to this one?
I do want to listen to this one.
We might. I'll let you. I'll send you the link.
Okay. I'm excited. Is it going to be on Patreon?
God, is it?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
We'll put it on
We'll
Patreon.
put it everywhere.
$4.99 download.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I like that. $499, right?
Making money in your sleep. Cha-ching.
That's the way. That's
Yes.
the easy money.
Yes, but you have to work at it because you
Yeah.
have to keep producing content, programming, reaching out to people, getting good guests.
Mm-hmm.
Some people look great on their Instagram feed, but don't translate well when you put them in front of a video or a microphone.
Yeah, I just voice over those people. So, okay, as we kind of wrap up here,
I'm so sad.
I
I
mean,
can talk.
we could go all night.
I know.
And then the podcast will really be worth
I know,
$4.99. What is one phrase that I don't know if you always live by, because my phrase that I live by, it's changed over the years. What is one phrase that you live by? Like when things are really not going well, or when things are going well, what is one thing you're like, okay, this is on repeat in my head?
You know, I was getting scared because I was like, oh my God, good question. And I didn't prepare for this. But
We can just do another one.
no, I have it. And I actually did this segment for, what was it? It was for, oh my God, was it for Fortune? Something.
You're just in Fortune
Jason
magazine.
Saltzman, another one. I'm gonna like tag all these people. Jason Saltzman, who was one of the co-founders of Alley. It was a co-working space.
Uh-huh.
A lot better than we work. And it was just awesome. Like it was really a think tank of like just awesome people doing like so many different things in parallels.
Yeah.
But we did this whole thing, I don't know if it was for Fortune, I forget, or MSNBC or something. But he taped this thing and he was like, oh, just like do a quick blurb for, this segment on TV. And I was like, what? Come on, like a little bit prepared. But like he edited it out and cut it, and he like didn't lead into the piece, but like exited out of the, like I was the exit of it. But it was great because I said, tomorrow is another day. When you get so stressed out and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm crazy. Why don't I just get a 9 to 5? Like, this is insane. Tomorrow is another day. You go to sleep, you lick your wounds, you pick yourself back up, and you don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I will leave with that. Tomorrow's another day.
Tomorrow's another day. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Is it bad if I come like every week? Just
Let's
like a little
come back
cameo?
tomorrow.
Just
Yeah.
like sneak up underneath the desk. and
Talk
be
about
like,
your
"Hi."
celebrity sightings.
Yes.
We're gonna have to email NDAs.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone watching this podcast has to sign an NDA.
But if you really want to listen to I follow a good excuse me, my goodness, it's
You're doing great.
Yeah.
It's been a
doing
long day.
great here. An entertainment lawyer, NT. He is the founder of CDAN, Crazy Days and Nights.
Mhm.
So he has a podcast on Patreon, And if you really want some tea, and he's great because he's an attorney, so he knows what he can say and not say.
Smart.
Allegedly.
Allegedly knows.
Always say allegedly.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That should be what you leave us with.
So she was caught making out with allegedly.
Allegedly. So I'm the best realtor in the world. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I alleged it, but
This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
yeah. No, thank you. I think like we are friends.
We are.
But this is talking to you in this venue, I feel
Should we tell them how we met?
Yeah, of course. Okay.
It's kind of like
It's a funny story. So there was a realtor in my office who said, Melissa, can you take these buyers? They said they're going to buy in cash and I just don't believe them. And you can just take them. And I was like, okay. And so I walked into this deal not knowing what the situation was, and I'll let you take it from the point that we met.
You helped us get a house in Stillwater in a week. Like we did the deal in a week.
Yep.
And
Well, don't forget about Nacho Mamas.
we weren't even there, right? Were you You were videoing some certain houses.
I found the house for you while you were out of town.
Yeah.
You were there for the inspection.
Yes.
And then we got dinner at Nacho Mamas.
Oh my God, so much fun.
That's when
But
we
it
were
was-
friends. Yeah.
And then we went to the second house to look at, and she was like, me and my husband were like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work out, and she's like, this is just not gonna work out for my buyers. I was like, yeah. I felt like such an adult. Like, yes.
I feel like I have told people to not buy a house way more than I've told them to buy a house. 100%. Yeah. That was the one. It had the creepy cellar, and it was on the hill. The foundation was falling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting.
Every time I drive past that hill, I'm like, all those houses are falling down.
Right.
I don't think they are,
But
that one was.
right.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a roll the dice of which one if you're shopping in Stillwater. It was a long time ago, so
Yes.
no houses on the market right now. But, yeah, I'm.
Thank you so much. This
Thank you.
was really such a joy and so refreshing and so fun.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
Okay. Oh, wait, last thing. One person that you would recommend to have on this podcast that is highly successful, highly interesting, and
Oh, God.
local, ideally.
Local.
Ideally.
It's so hard.
I can't buy a flight yet. So.
Could they pipe in?
Yeah, probably. Sure. What are you gonna say?
Well, we're on the communications theme, so I'm just
Yeah.
Sabina Hitchin is a good friend of mine, and
Okay.
she is just she really focuses on female entrepreneurs.
Love
so I
it.
think it's a good pivot, or not pivot, but a good compliment.
Yeah.
And she is just a badass with getting and just crafting a beautiful story that just gets everywhere. And we just connected her with a good friend of mine, Carrie Quigley, who owns the fashion class. And I'm like, Carrie, you are everywhere. You're on Good Morning America. You were just in Miami doing a segment.
He's everywhere.
It's just so yeah. She's a good person to kind of loop up into your
Okay.
female entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I'll tap into her.
Okay, I'll connect you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week.
Success!